Thank you for joining us for the 2-minute drills. I'm Aram Talegian, San Gabriel Valley Newspaper Group football writer, joined by San Gabriel Valley Tribune Prep Sports editor Fred J. Robledo. The big one has arrived, and we usually say the big one has arrived about a lot of games throughout the year, Freddie.
Right.
But when I say the big one has arrived, I think I'm talking about like for the decade. I've heard even some people even say the century. I don't know, man. I'm feeling it.
It's just big, whatever you want to call it. Decade, century.
However big you want to make it.
Since what, Aaron? 2005?
2005 was the last time Charter Oak and Bishop Amat played, and that's what we're talking about right now. It's going down Friday night at Charter Oak. Bishop Amat comes to town. The Lancers are 2-0-1. Charter Oak 2-0. Both teams undefeated. Just an absolutely beautifully set stage, Fred.
Yeah, I mean, Charter Oak, coming off that win over Los Alamitos right now, really set it up because we talked about last week, that was a former D1 team. Amat is playing, I think, better than even a lot of people expected. I mean, opening up a Servite, tying Chino Hills on the road, beating La Mirada, who's looked absolutely great. And look, this is their third straight game in the road, and it's Charter Oak. Mm-hmm. The whole valley is going to be at Charter Oak on Friday. I think they actually might need to bring in extra bleachers for this game. And it's going to be, it makes this game interesting to me, Aram, isn't all the X's and O's of it. And when we start talking about in a second, offense versus defense on both sides, it's going to be one of the most emotionally charged games I can think of in a while. I mean, these are two programs, kids who know each other very well, who do not want to lose to each other. Believe me, they haven't played in a long time. We've kind of fed this whole frenzy, this whole argument, who's better, Bishop Amat, Charter Oak, and these kids are the ones who are going to have to live it after this game is done. The team that wins, the team that loses. And also, to me, we're not just matching two of the best programs. We're matching two of the best coaching staffs. I think the two best coaching staffs in the Valley, when you think of Bishop Amat with Haggerty and all those former head coaches, you think of Charter Oak, Lou Farrar, and that great staff that he's assembled with his son Dominic Farrar, Lehigh, the defensive coordinator. These guys have been there forever. I mean, this is just a great meeting of the minds. Two of the great programs. When our rankings come out this week, they're going to be number 1 and 2 respectively, and they deserve it right now.
I think it's not just the kids, Freddie, and the players on each team that don't want to lose to each other. I think what it is also is you have bloggers that don't want to lose to each other, because we've had this ongoing debate, and a lot of it stems from the fact that, since Bishop Amat's last CIF title, which I believe was 95, Charter Oaks won 4 CIF titles. Now, Amat fans or, a certain group out there of them, and probably even yourself to some degree included, don't really look at that necessarily as something you can compare to Bishop Amat, because Bishop Amat plays in the Pac-5, and, winning maybe 1 CIF title in the Pac-5 is as good as winning 5 somewhere else. I don't know. I'm not really sure what the argument is. My argument has always been that, and I will say it again, that there are certain years that teams from around the area can beat Bishop Amat, but most years they can't.
Well, Chino Hills this year could have beaten Bishop Amat. Very well.
But I don't consider them this
outside area team.
We cover them, but they're not an SGV team.
There's certain teams. We've had that argument, like with Monrovia, for example. I didn't think that particular team was ready for a team like Bishop Amat. Charter Oak over the years, when you look back to some of the real good teams, when they were winning the Southeast, there was even a time before that they were taking on some pretty good Orange County teams. Mm-hmm. And I think last year with Charter Oak, the teams that they played and having Santiago, I thought that team was more ready-made to beat Amat maybe than this year's team. But I still think, look, these last 2 years of playing in the Sierra, of playing against the Inland, to me, has helped prepare Charter Oak for a game against Bishop Amat, maybe better than in 2005, Aaron, or some of those games before where they didn't play step-up games of these caliber. Charter Oak has played those type of games. Right. You talk about playing Upland last year, that's Bishop Amat type game. You talk about Rancho Cucamonga the last couple of years, although they haven't beaten them, one was a tie. They're ready for this game more than ever, and I think with the defense that they have, they're really going to have a great shot in this game. But Bishop Amat's offense, I can't remember the last time they've started out, over 30 points in 3 games in a row against the caliber of teams they're doing it. This is going to be to me, it's really that Amat offense against Charter Oak's defense. There's no way I think Bishop Amat's going to go in there and score 30 or more in this game.
Right. Well, there's something to what you said though, Fred, because the last time they played was 2005, and it was 34-7 Amat. The year before, Charter Oak, and that was a lot of people don't know this, but I was the prep sports editor when you were in Pasadena back then. 04, Charter Oak was the number 1 ranked team in the area. I think because Amat lost its season opener or whatever, but it's set up as they were number 1 versus number 2. There was no doubt about it. Bishop Amat was way, way, way better. Yeah. They beat them 28-0. But since then, Charter Oak has won 2 CIF titles. And, you know, if you want to diminish those CIF titles and say they're in the Southeast, that's fine. But you can start to see this program is doing a very good job of sort of moving up the ranks, because we look back at what Charter Oak played back in 2004 and 05 to get them ready, and what they had seen in the non-leagues. We looked at the previous, the 03, the 04, the 05 non-league schedules. Toughest team that we could find in their non-league schedule beside Amat, Damien. That was when Damien was in the Sierra League and Charter Oak wasn't. Damien was a D2 team and Charter Oak was D6. And that was even before they went to the Southeast, which would be considered D7. Now you look at Charter Oak and you start to see a program that's now starting to put together wins, that you may not want to call step-up wins or whatnot, but they're quality wins. Over Los Alamitos, 2 over Roosevelt now, 1 over Santiago. They smoked Chino Hills in the playoffs last year. They're putting together the types of wins that make you think that they're ready to step up into this kind of game. Whereas in 03, 04,
you're right, Aaron. They're bigger wins.
Different program.
Bigger wins, Aaron. But they haven't had that step up of all step up wins. Not since I can remember. I mean, I can go back a long way to when I started, and they beat Diamond Ranch, who was like a 500 team, both those championship games. Right. Since that time, they haven't had that real marquee game where Charter Oak's kind of the underdog against a big time program. I thought maybe Rancho Cucamonga they could do it. I thought Upland might have been a chance to prove it. They're going to really get a chance to prove it against Bishop Amat. I think they need this for their program more than Bishop Amat needs it for theirs. I just think it would validate a lot of what they've done the last few years. And look, I even think they're more capable of pulling off this game than Chino Hills was. And Chino Hills took them. It was a tie, a 48-48 tie.
I think it's Charter different but equal for them.
Yeah, it's all about the matchups. Charter Oak, how they match up against Bishop Amat is going to be important. Their offense, can they score points? That is going to be the big key. Right. Can they score? Amat's defense, if you look at the first 3 weeks, they've given up some points. I saw La Mirada move against them better than I thought a team from the Southeast can move against them. Certainly, I saw West Covina Loyola. They couldn't do nothing against that line. La Mirada really moved it and gave me some reason to believe that Charter Oak is going to be able to score points on Amat. I just don't know how much.
Right, and you're right. That is the big question, and that's one of the things we talk about when you get into a game of this magnitude where it could be a grinder. I don't think Charter Oak this year is ever really going to look too dynamic when they win. I think their games are going to be grinders, and that's what you do when you have a good defense. You rely on them, and it probably isn't pretty all the time, but maybe you can come out with a victory. One of the things that we've noticed, though, in years like this, Freddie, before we get into our predictions, is that when you have two teams of this level, and it's still somewhat early in the season, you have a good defense, and like Charter Oak, is that oftentimes the winner of this game doesn't win the game because of something they did right, but something the other team did wrong. I'm picking Charter Oak in this game because of their defense.
That's why I said he's picking Charter. That's why I said that intangible is the emotionally charged atmosphere of it all. How are these kids going to react in a game this big, the crowd this big?
Amat kids,
with
there's
all
no
the bragging
question.
rights on
They
the
can
line.
handle it.
Charter Oak kids are going to be able to handle it.
Yeah, they are because they played Upland in front of the cameras and Rancho, and they've had the big games now.
But they haven't won. They don't have that feeling of what it's like to win that game. But Amat's had that feeling of what it's like to win those big games. They just had it the first week against Servite, a game nobody thought they would win.
But in 03 and 04, Charter Oak didn't have that kind of under the big lights experience.
Those kids were 8, 9 years old. And,
right. But what I'm saying is the program's different now. You're right. These kids have been under the big stage.
Key for me is Aaron Vaughns. If Aaron Vaughns, he had a big week last week against Los Alamitos. We heard Bobby Morales tell us about that, 200 and some yards. If he can sustain that somewhat offensively, I give them a chance. I'm not picking Charter Oak in this game. Bishop Amat, they've proved over their first 3 weeks that they're the best team. I think they're going to be ready for this. I think they wanted this game secretly too to really go out and say, hey, look, we've heard it all. We're going to let you know once and for all. I think it's going to be close. If I set the line, I'd set it at 4 points, but I'm taking Bishop Amat something like 24-19, somewhere in that range. But I'm going Amat. Of course he's taking Charter Oak. What else did you think Aram was going to say? See you there Friday night. It's the biggest game of the year. Aram is going to be covering this big boy.